Rachel Zegler, billed as the new face of Disney royalty, was handed the role of Snow White on a silver platter, the first Latina actress to lead the iconic fairy tale. A massive studio budget, red carpets waiting, merch deals lining up. The future, hers to lose. And oh, did she lose it? Because just months after Snow White hit theaters in one of the most talked about, meme-destroyed, fan-rejected releases in modern movie history, Disney has reportedly had enough. Zegler is out, fired, blacklisted, erased from internal slates, and while no official statement has hit the press yet, sources inside the studio say the fallout is irreversible. She'll never work here again, one insider told Variety. Before we dive into one of the most bizarre and chilling mysteries to ever hit Hollywood, make sure to subscribe if you love deep dives into unsolved cases, hidden truths, and shocking celebrity mysteries. Trust me, this one is going to leave you speechless. Let's break down how a Disney princess went from rising star to Hollywood's ultimate cautionary tale. She torched the character, and the brand went down with her. Let's rewind. Disney had a plan, bring Snow White to a new generation. But instead of preserving the magic, they decided to update the fairy tale with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Prince? Cut. Dwarfs? Replaced with magical creatures. Romance? Ew, apparently. Classic songs? Revised beyond recognition. Charm? Dead on arrival. This wasn't a love letter to the original, it was a full-blown denial of everything that made Snow White beloved in the first place. From the start, fans felt uneasy. But then came the interview. Rachel Zegler hit the press circuit like she was running a political campaign, not promoting a fairy tale. She called the original 1937 film weird, said the prince was a stalker, and declared that her Snow White wouldn't be saved by a man. She framed the classic Disney romance as outdated, irrelevant, and problematic. What she failed to realize, that the very people she was mocking were the ones still buying the ticket. Instead of building excitement, she created resentment, and it only got worse when people dug into her social media. Zegler had already alienated classic Disney fans, but then she decided to double down politically. Old tweets resurfaced where she slammed Trump supporters, saying they should never know peace. She waded into global political conflicts, made passive-aggressive jabs at critics, and responded to backlash with thinly veiled sarcasm. Now, in 2025, Hollywood actors are expected to have opinions. But there's a difference between being outspoken and being divisive. And Zegler, according to media analysts and fans alike, became a symbol of Hollywood's out-of-touch virtue-signaling elite, someone more focused on rewriting legacies than respecting them. Let's talk numbers. Snow White cost Disney upwards of $270 million to make, market, and distribute. What did they get in return? A weak $43 million in opening weekend. Rotten Tomatoes scores in free fall, a 66% second-week drop-off, an IMDb score barely hanging on to a 2. Even hardcore Disney fans stayed home. Merchandise flopped. Park tie-ins were pulled. International partners scaled back marketing. It was an embarrassment. Write-off. And insiders began whispering the word Disney dreads the most. Then came the cultural takedown. On Joe Rogan's podcast, the Snow White disaster became a case study in woke Hollywood gone wrong. Rogan called it a corporate self-own, saying, "It's like they wanted it to fail. Who hires someone to play Snow White who clearly hates Snow White?" Bill Maher jumped in next, mocking Disney's obsession with messaging over magic. The internet lit up. Zegler was trending again, but not for any movie, not for any performance. You don't modernize a fairy tale by removing the fairy tale part. You just end up with a sad PowerPoint in costume. She had become a punchline. Here's where things get icy. According to sources inside Burbank, Disney execs are now scrambling to salvage the IP, and Rachel Zegler is not part of the plan. Her likeness has reportedly been removed from merchandising mock-ups for 2026. Marketing teams have been instructed to de-emphasize her in promotional content, and upcoming appearances at parks and public events? Quietly canceled. And the cherry on top? There's serious talk, that Zegler may be contractually barred from reprising Snow White in any future media. She did more damage to this brand in 6 months than any leak, hack, or scandal we've ever faced. One senior executive reportedly said in a closed meeting, "In plain English, she's been fired." Zegler's collapse is already affecting casting decisions across the industry. Studios are being cautious with any actors who show signs of being unmanageable, over-politicized, or tone-deaf to fan culture. The message has been received loud and clear. There's no coming back from this. It's brutal, but after what happened here, no one wants to pull a Zegler. More and more producers are reportedly including IP respect clauses in contracts, legal language that allows termination if the actor publicly undermines the project's brand. Not just with Snow White, not just with Disney. What started as whispers behind studio doors has now become an open secret in Hollywood. Rachel Zegler is done. She was supposed to be Disney's next generation princess, a bold new face for a brave new Snow White, and now she's a liability, a punchline, a brand hazard. But with every major studio quietly scratching her name off the casting whiteboards as the train wreck that was Snow White 2025 finishes its descent into oblivion. It's the entire industry. And after everything, the flopped box office, the press tour disasters, the Twitter rage, the memes, the lawsuits, it's not just fans who've turned on her. According to sources inside Disney's casting division, the official decision to terminate Rachel Zegler's future involvement with the Snow White franchise happened in a closed-door emergency session just days after the second weekend box office numbers came in. "We can't risk keeping her in the spotlight," one executive reportedly said. "She's torched the bridge with the audience, and she's not willing to walk it back." Apparently, the numbers were so catastrophic that even Bob Iger couldn't spin it. And just like that, she was cut loose. No public firing, no press statement. Just a cold internal memo: "We will not be moving forward with Rachel Zegler in future promotional or project development capacities." Translation? Fired. A rumored streaming musical that had her in final negotiations. Once word got out that Zegler was persona non grata at the Mouse House, other studios started hitting the brakes. But it didn't stop at Disney. A voice role in an animated feature? Recast. The rom-com being prepped for international co-production? Pulled from development. Why? She's kryptonite. Her brand sentiment is underwater. Her social media mentions are 70% negative. Every video she's in gets ratioed. And for risk-averse studios already scared of backlash, because in a world obsessed with metrics, Zegler's name now triggers red flags across every analytic dashboard in Hollywood. Her team is scrambling like they're in a PR disaster bunker. And behind the scenes, one agent was overheard at a Soho House meeting saying, "We need a rebrand or we lose her entirely." A public walk back of her Snow White commentary. Another source claims Zegler's legal reps have contacted crisis PR firms in LA and NYC for a total image overhaul strategy, including a sit-down interview with a sympathetic outlet. Oprah is rumored, but unlikely. A staged hiatus from social media. Because Zegler didn't just fumble a role, she made enemies with the audience, the press, and the suits all at once. But here's the thing, it might already be too late. What makes this so brutal is that Zegler was handed the crown. Spielberg launched her. Disney backed her. She had every tool to succeed. But somewhere along the way, she forgot the one thing Hollywood doesn't forgive. And that's not a rebrand, that's a career ICU. Contempt for the audience. Her mistake wasn't just saying the original Snow White was outdated. It was saying it while holding the keys to the castle. She wasn't grateful. She wasn't reverent. She was snarky, defensive, dismissive. She didn't just mock the movie, she mocked the people who loved it. Let's talk about the fan base, because they are the engine of this backlash. And in doing so, she turned from princess into PR poison. Classic Disney fans, millennial nostalgia kids, parents with daughters who grew up with fairy tales. So they revolted. These people wanted a Snow White they could recognize. They wanted the heart, the music, the wonder. What they got instead, a cynical lecture in a ball gown. And when Disney started bleeding money, guess what the executives realized? We want magic, not mockery. Boycotts, comment floods, petition campaigns, YouTubers making hour-long breakdowns of Zegler's interviews, TikTok clips of the real Snow White with captions like, "Too late." Now Disney's dealing with contagion.
Whoa.
We shouldn't have pissed off the people buying the tickets. Toy sales are reportedly down 68% compared to projections. Zegler's failure wasn't just a personal PR disaster. It started to infect everything tied to the Snow White brand. Snow White-themed park attractions have seen a drop in attendance. A planned Snow White-themed cruise event? Scrapped. Retail partners have pulled themed clothing lines off shelves. Internally, Disney is calling it a brand contamination crisis, and Rachel Zegler is the source. You don't survive that in this industry, not without a miracle. One rumor, they're exploring breach of promotional obligations, citing her derogatory comments about the film during pre-release press as material damage to the project's financial performance. Rumors are also swirling that Disney's legal team is now combing through contracts to make sure Zegler can't come back to bite them later. In short, they may try to make her pay them. Let's zoom out. And if that goes public, we're talking about a full-blown defamation battle. Snow White turning into Law & Order IP division. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about one actress blowing up a movie. This is a reckoning. Because for years, Hollywood has treated fans like a guaranteed revenue stream, legacy characters like playgrounds for ideology, and young stars like social media mascots, with zero restraint. Zegler's downfall is the first time the audience said, "No, not this time." And the result? A studio in crisis, a franchise in ashes, and a lead actress watching her career evaporate in real time. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be a modern-day Cinderella story plucked from obscurity, rocketed to fame, crowned Disney royalty. Instead, she became the blueprint for how to lose it all. One role, one movie, one press tour. Gone. And now, as Disney tries to erase her from the very fairy tale she was supposed to redefine, and the industry blacklists her behind closed doors, the message is clear. Respect the story, respect the fans, or you'll get written out of the narrative. Let us know in the comments, should she get a second chance? Or was this the crash course Hollywood needed? Subscribe for more Hollywood breakdowns, because this one, it's not over yet. What happens to Zegler now? The sad truth, she may not recover from this. In 1 year, she went from Spielberg's breakout darling to the symbol of Disney's biggest modern failure, and with Godot's lawsuit looming, more internal dirt may be revealed. Studios now see her as risky, fans feel betrayed, brands are pulling out, and unless she goes full rebrand apology tour, social media purge, maybe even a year of silence, she could be blacklisted from the very industry that once rolled out the red carpet for her. At the end of the day, Snow White didn't fail because it was diverse. It failed because it disrespected the story. It treated its legacy like a burden. It mocked the very things that made people fall in love with the original. And Zegler, knowingly or not, became the voice of that disrespect. What audiences want isn't regression. They want magic. They want charm. They want escapism that believes in something again. Disney forgot that. Zegler dismissed it. And now, they're paying the price. Rachel Zegler's Hollywood fairy tale has hit a brutal twist. The rising star who once had the kingdom in her hands now finds herself on the outside, shut out, pushed aside, and erased from a legacy she was supposed to redefine. Snow White didn't need saving, it needed respect. But instead of honoring the magic, the studio and its star tried to rewrite it. What they got was a box office bomb, a cultural backlash, and a brand in crisis. And now, with Rachel Zegler reportedly fired and Disney's house of cards shaking in the wind, we have to ask, is the age of the live-action princess, or was this just the final straw? Let us know in the comments. Should Zegler get another chance? Is Disney finally waking up? And what classic are they going to ruin next? Subscribe for more chaos from the world of Hollywood meltdowns. Because this fairy tale, it didn't get a happy ending.